Howdy folks, and welcome to the video for the German Tier 7 Premium Cruiser, the München. Hey, you YouTube person watching this video, do you want to watch somebody play a German light cruiser like a coward and spam HE shells for like 12 straight minutes and win a game? Yes? Well, then boy, have I got the video for you. So I didn't really know anything much about the München. I think I played it once or twice before, and it just kind of came up in the rotation. And I was like, well, all right, this looks like a ship with really good range and some serious DPM, especially with these AP shells. Not super great penetration, although the HE penetration is all right. It looks super explodey. I better play it really carefully. I don't get any smoke. I don't get much AA. I really just don't want to get shot at. And then we spawned into this map, which is a little bit of a nightmare, especially on that flank that I was on. And I was like, well, I'm going to head for these islands in the middle. And guess what? I just ended up sitting there the entire game. I am not going to claim that this is the way you should play the München. I think the AP is supposed to be actually pretty good against cruisers, especially at shorter ranges. But I feel like, especially the way this game ended up evolving, I just wanted to own the center of the map and wait for people to push into me. And then they just kind of never did. So I just spent the whole game slowly whittling folks down at extended range. And my team just slowly won. Some games of World of Warships are kind of like this, where the enemy team really doesn't have much of a plan to win, and you can essentially just kind of keep shooting at them over and over again until they slowly die. And even though it may sort of feel like you're never exactly dominating them, you kind of have the game in hand the whole way. The key here is for me to just not get shot at. And my first thought was to stay next to this kind of biggish island that's next to me. And then I realized that I wasn't going to be able to pull that off because it's just too exposed to the north and the west. So then my plan became, well, I'm going to use both of these islands to kind of hide between. And I kept expecting that at some point somebody was going to push me and I would maybe get to use these defensive torpedoes that the München gets, some standard kind of German cruiser 6-kilometer torpedoes. But they just never did. I just kept picking targets at range, battleships. I tried the AP a couple times, like against the York. You're going to see me use the AP just to see what it was like. And I got nothing out of it. But I think that's because I'm firing at extreme range against some angled targets, and I just got lots of ricochets. But the HE served me well. The München's HE DPM is not amazing, mostly because the alpha isn't very good. It's only 1700, but you are firing 8 shells every 5 seconds, and you get a fire chance of 10%. So over time, you can really light a lot of fires if people let you just keep shooting at them over and over. And that's basically what's going to happen. I'm going to end up with like 60 plus K damage, and almost half of it, I think, is going to come from fires. I'm just going to light like so many fires. And we're just getting started on this Tekatov. New York, on this New York. Of course, it doesn't hurt that I'm top tier in this game. I hear the München is actually pretty good to be up tiered, but it served well in this role. I mean, essentially, I'm just adding damage as necessary to battleships. I'm not making any effort to push. I'm just kind of owning this space in the middle. Is this the most effective thing I could be doing? Probably not. But, I kind of You know, I always say, well, I used to say a lot. I haven't said for a while, but it's still true. I try to play more conservatively in these games. And that's especially true with ships that I'm not overly familiar with, because after all, I'm trying to give you a taste of the ship, and it doesn't do anybody any good if I just sail directly into danger and explode. Now, this is maybe one could argue a slightly extreme version of that. But, you know, I think this is an interesting video to showcase because it highlights one play style for these kind of light cruisers, especially the German ones, because they have some pretty extreme range. Now, you could argue that at that range, it's really hard to hit anything, and that's 100% true. And here you see the AP completely failing on this York, which is a shame. I mean, I realize he's angled and the dispersion's not great at this range, but I still thought maybe I would get a little damage in, but I'm going to get exactly nothing. Anyway, I was kind of just doing this while I was waiting for the game to evolve to a point where I could make my move. But then the game just never evolved to that point, or rather, not until the absolute very end of the game. You will see me eventually make a move like at the tail end of the game. But essentially, I mean, this just wound up to be a pretty effective strategy. Like, we're always just a step ahead. You know, if you look up at the mod I have that shows all the health of the enemy teams and just kind of squint, you can see that even though we're tied on ships, we have a clear advantage in terms of how much health all the ships on the enemy team have. And that's going to just stay true throughout the entire game. So, you know, in some ways, like, no heroics needed, right? I mean, you don't need to play any better than you need to play to win the game, I guess, is the thing. If I had charged out into space, one of these battleships absolutely would have obliterated me, because the München just does not have very good armor, and it has just mediocre at best, like, HP. There's no reason for me to be out there taking shots. I'm not a tank. I shouldn't be tanking. Just need to do exactly this. Just creeping up the damage, you know? We're up to 26k. Of course, it would help if I could aim better, but in my defense, again, I only play these ships once. This is the very first game I played in the München, and it is really hard to hit things at range with these floaty cruiser shells. I mean, that's just like a known issue. I'm sure this ship would be more effective at some shorter ranges. Though, having said that, I'm going to end up about 12 kilometers away from a battleship later, and I'm still going to have some trouble hitting him. You know, the shells are just they're pretty floaty. I'm going to take a bunch of shots at this Z-31, and it's going to be pretty frustrating, both for me and possibly for you to watch. I would forgive you if you fast-forwarded past that part. But because I'm not going to hit any shots on the Z-31. Not a one. But of course, that's because I'm trying to hit him at 14, 15 kilometers. It's just tough. Tough to do. The upside of these shells being super floaty is that I can shoot over all these islands. I find it challenging, and you know, perhaps everyone does, but I find it really hard to hit ships that I can't physically see. I have tried to master the art of minimap shooting, or of just anticipating based on the movement of the little UI that represents where they basically are, and I struggle. I can do it once in a while, but I can't do it reliably. We're up to 40k damage, most of it on that fire that's just ticking over there on that Chios. But you know, that's real damage. I mean, it's really gonna. It sunk the New York in the beginning of the game, and it's still real damage. Fires are incredibly powerful. And the nice thing is, the München has such a great reload, right? This 5-second reload, it's just so good for setting fires, because you hit people, they DCP, and then 5 seconds later, you're hitting them again with multiple shells, especially battleships. Now, this is lots of people really hate this play style. They hate playing against it. They hate doing it. And I totally get it. I wouldn't say this is my favorite style of play either, which is why I've never played the München before. And to be clear, I do know that München can be played other ways, right? That's just what this game evolved into. But don't think this is the only thing the München can do, although it is definitely one of those mines style HE spammers, as I completely whiff on all these shells. Please just hit something. Can I please hit these big, slow-moving targets? You know, the upside, though, as I always say, right, don't die. Like, here I am, I'm a cruiser, and I am absolutely full health. Like, the team doesn't really need me, but if they needed me to get out there and go to toe-to-toe with somebody, I could probably do it. I mean, I've absolutely full health. I don't even think I've taken any potential damage. Man, I just cannot hit this Tekatov, can I? Please, for the love of God. Okay, there we go. Instant fire. RNGesus is with me today. He's going to let it tick. Maybe he doesn't... Oh, 2 fires. Ooh. He must not have DCP. He definitely would DCP those if he did. Either that or he's just consigned himself to his fate. But, you know, until recently, this game didn't seem all that, you know, out of hand for the Reds. But like I said, it's just one of those games where they just didn't have a plan to win. You know, there was just nobody was really pushing. I mean, this is the danger with not having anyone push, is you're just slowly losing ground. Slowly losing ground, slowly losing ground. Getting chewed up at range by ships like exactly this one.
Torpedoes to port.
Oh, there's another fire. Is this one gonna tick? He must have DCP'd. Yeah, so we're up to 53, 54k damage now. So yeah, I mean, that's, if you ever want to see a video of this HE spamming, you know, absolutely no pushing style of gameplay, here you go. It's surprisingly hard. I find it takes some practice to aim at these ranges. You really have to get in the head of people, and you have to practice this style of gameplay, which I don't, because it's just not my favorite way to play. So I will freely admit I'm not terribly good at it. Okay, and now the game is at an end. I finally made my move. Look at me, playing bold and brash, getting out from behind that island. I'm not scared of one Chios on 5k hit points. I can take him. Put me in, coach. No, but seriously, I mean, you know, like, I'm making fun of myself, but sometimes this is just the way you got to play, you know? It really would not have benefited my team for me to be out there. Like, well, I mean, what am I going to do, right? I'm in a German light cruiser that's good at spamming HE at range. They do not need me to be pushing. And there you go. That's roughly 12 minutes of a Tier 7 premium German light cruiser spamming HE to people and getting 63k damage and 2 kills and 1,050 experience points. So yeah, München, not bad. Kind of a good ship, honestly. But that'll have to do it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next video.